Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Gas is on the Right. No, he's got a chance to win the race.
I think that might have been like one of the cleanest hits I've ever seen in a NASCAR fight.
Side Rick. Yeah, the back. Oh! Into the wall hard goes Ryan Blaney.
And he finally came to a stop. And it was just dead silent.
I said this last week, and I'm going to keep reiterating it. Live with the decisions you make. Drive by the decisions you make. Don't change up your style, but also just don't be dumb. All right, everybody, welcome back to Gas is on the Right, a Wednesday edition, Clash at the Coliseum edition. I tell you what, how about the weather out in LA this weekend? What do you guys think all about that?
It's a little wet.
A little?
Yeah.
It's still raining out in LA right now.
Yeah, that's what we just pulled up the radar before we started, and it's still raining. So and I think Denny Hamlin said something about they had to be out of there by Tuesday, so there was no way they could have got the race in if they hadn't moved it up when they did.
Yeah, that is
But
crazy.
Of all weekends, the 100-year storm hits then.
Right?
NASCAR has a keen ability to do that, which everybody's been bitching and moaning about it, and it's they're not God. They don't control the weather. They plan around it accordingly, and they did what they had to do.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just reminded me of that 70s show where he's like, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather.
Yeah, damn it, Jackie, I can't control the weather.
So, but yeah, no, a ton of rain.
So with the rain, like you said, they had to work with it. So they moved the Clash at 3 p.m. to Saturday night at 8. So with a 5-hour warning, they moved everything, more than 24 hours up, right?
24 and a half hours
right
total,
at 24 hours.
Yeah.
So right there at it, because I think it was an 8:30 start originally on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I mean, kudos to them for being able to organize it in that time frame. So a lot to go on, a lot to happen. Obviously, they had to change
We had no heat races.
Yeah, no heat races, no last chance qualifier, which, I mean, that stinks because those are really fun. But at least a bunch of guys didn't tear up equipment to not participate. So, changing up the format to that, it was the practice, 3 rounds of practice, third round being groups of 6 with fastest times, top 22 cars getting in, and then one provisional spot for the highest in owners' points. So, I mean, again, kudos to them for working in that tight window. I mean, 5-hour window to fit all that in is a lot. And obviously the Mexico series race got moved to after the Cup race. But, yeah.
And Suarez won that.
Suarez did win that. He did not make the Cup race, but he made the Mexico race and won it.
Semantics.
What is he, like a two-time champion?
Yeah, I know. I want him to start doing better.
Honestly, I forget about the Mexico series. I don't think I had one in Europe and Brazil or something too.
Yeah, they have a European series that raced on ice a couple years ago. That was
on ice.
Yeah, it was like a snow or ice race or something. It was weird.
That would be very actually I would watch that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
A lot of slipping and sliding. You think we have slide jobs here? Just go race on ice. Be no.
So when they took out the heat races, like you said, they did the 3 rounds of practice, but the third round. One thing that I guess I just didn't realize because I've never really watched the Clash is that it comes down to tenths of a second at that track.
Yeah.
I think everyone we were watching the practice and everyone who qualified was running a 13-second lap, but it was literally within tenths of a second that they were apart.
Yeah.
That's what I think Corey LaJoy was saying, that if you ran a 13.4. He felt like
Mhm.
if you could run something like that, you'd be good. But if you were like a 13.48 or something, you probably weren't going to make it.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So the
But
different. Oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, you're good.
Well, I just pulled it up. The difference between in practice one, it doesn't have the qualifying for me here on NASCAR's website, but between Denny Hamlin's lap time to 22nd place was a 0.345 of a second. So tight, tight, tight.
No room for
Right.
error.
Yeah.
And I
So
I
think they
will say
changed the
practice
way the
was fun
cars
to
were
watch.
geared, where people weren't shifting as much either, to where you couldn't just
Mhm.
downshift and take off to make up for your mistakes, which is good. They heard what the drivers had to say and changed something for the better during that race as far as the gear ratio.
I actually really enjoyed watching practice because the practice was the qualifying. It was fun. I liked the first 2 rounds of practice. Now the 3rd round, I was just anxious the entire time, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch the practice. I was trying to make the clash myself. Me and my wife went on vacation and we were racing go-karts because you can't go on vacation and not race go-karts. So
I only got to listen. We were Emily and I were actually heading to
We
dinner,
watched
and she
Yeah,
watched it,
we
and it was
watched a
coming through
little
the
bit of it,
car speaker. So I was just listening to practice and letting her relay the information as it came across.
and
But
we were sitting there trying to make dinner and get back in time to watch the clash, and we ended up just recording it.
yeah, DVR man. So gotta have
yeah,
date
that's the
night.
great thing about YouTube TV is you can just set it to record stuff and just go back and watch it. And I got done with the clash super quick because I didn't have to watch any commercials.
We
Exactly.
literally, at
That was
one point,
great.
accidentally started watching the commercials, and he was like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah, yeah, that happens a lot
Yeah, I
when you
can
go
fast
back and
forward
watch a
through this.
NASCAR race.
So,
It's crazy how
but
technology has spoiled us.
oh yeah, we
Well,
banned social medias until we got done with the race. Like I had text messages from you, from a couple other buddies, and it was like, I'm not touching
have
it.
you watched it
I know. I was like, please tell me you've watched this so we can talk about it.
Nope, nope, we
Not
have not.
yet. Don't tell me
Nope, we
anything.
did not.
Sorry, taking shots with the neighbors. Oh, but yeah, no, I mean the practice was enjoyable. Obviously, it's not like the heat races and the qualifier, last chance qualifier where they are at you make it or you don't, and it's your finishing position. So it was interesting on that front, and missing those, obviously, it is a good thing for the teams because you're not tearing up a bunch of equipment that you drove out to LA for a $2 million purse for the winter, and then having to drive back with that torn up equipment all the way back to Charlotte to get it ready for Daytona. So, I mean,
Mhm.
it's a good thing on that front, but definitely missed some of the bumping and banging and short track racing action in that same regard.
So, speaking of all of us recording this race and watching it without commercials, we weren't the only ones that got, I wanna say a free show. I was leading into that, and that just didn't sound good.
Ooh, a free
We
show?
weren't the only ones that I guess got a show when they changed the day of the clash. They made entry free for all practices and the clash because it moved to Saturday night for all the fans that went.
Yeah, good move by NASCAR. Just obviously
Mhm.
you're not going to get the butts in the seats that you originally sold. So just open it up
Well, not
free
whenever
and
you move it
whoever's
5
there.
hours
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
If they
So
would've
Yeah.
moved it at, like, 8 in the morning, I think there would have been more people.
yeah, they're not racing.
So,
No, well, I mean they wouldn't have made it. It started raining like almost immediately after the Mexico race, and it hasn't
yeah,
stopped since. It started
Mm-mm.
raining and raining and raining.
sometimes it rains sideways. It even rained upside
Upside
down.
down rain.
We have a special
So,
guest, hold on.
oh, we have our first interviewee. She fell asleep during the races, so she doesn't count.
I did.
um, but
I
yeah.
did. Baby did. I actually did. Alan woke me up and I was like, "What?"
What
We'll
happened?
get to that story in a second.
But the yeah, I mean, oh, I lost my train of
Oh,
thought. Oh, the free
so
entry. Yes. NASCAR. So they originally opened up Saturday as a free show for the Mexico series. And for them to hold true to that and keep it free, obviously to get butts and seats, but also to turn around and contact the people that bought tickets to this event. And from what I understand, they offered refunds. And I would also assume that they probably offered some packages where like you could get tickets to another race, maybe if you're in the LA market, Sonoma or something along those lines. But they, I mean, kudos to NASCAR. Talk about a huge financial loss for them. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
overall.
they had to have taken a big hit, but
Oh
I
yeah.
mean
They
the
lost their
show
ass.
the show must go on. But I mean,
You wouldn't have had a show
people can
otherwise.
question it. Yeah, that's what the biggest thing I've seen is what a waste of money by NASCAR, and it's like, is it though? I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
they lost their butt when it came to like money, but I think just their willingness to get the race in, I think will
Mhm.
speak to a lot of people.
Well,
especially since it was not a season race.
Yeah, just an exhibition, and
It was just
and I
an
mean
exhibition.
they didn't
I think
have
the
to.
dedication to like make the show
Yeah,
go on shows a lot from NASCAR.
they could have just said,
yeah.
"Well, pack your stuff up, boys, go home." But I mean, and everybody drove all the way, literally all the way across the country to get out there, and they're like, "All right, we're doing this."
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
So, yeah,
So, out
kudos
of
to NASCAR.
everyone who qualified, is
Mhm.
there anyone that we are shocked did not qualify or did qualify?
Bell,
Bell.
that one, because he was fast in the first
I
practice, but
I was
they
shocked
ran
about Bell.
scuffs in
Yeah,
their
that was a bad
qualifying
choice.
session. I think a couple people did that and didn't make it. And they were probably thinking, well, Blaney's got enough speed. We'll be okay. And then he ran scuffs too. And it's crazy that the champion from last year got the provisional on
Yeah.
speed because he didn't qualify in, which
Hmm.
Mhm.
clearly, if you look at the end of the race results, he had the speed. It was just
Yeah.
a poor decision for their qualifying.
Yeah.
Because
A
from what I
couple other
understand, they said it took like 10 or 15 laps to get heat in the tires. So I guess they were thinking these tires already have heat in them. Let's just roll with these
keep the heat in
and
them.
Hmm.
hope for the best.
Yeah, which I mean, he was just as a quick note, he was off the pace. He was at a .375 off of the pole position. And but a couple other notables that I want to mention is Austin Dillon. He's ran good in this race the last 2 years.
And
Um,
he's podiumed both years
yeah, Christopher Bell or
prior.
not Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher not making it after what RFK has done this past season. And I would probably say Austin Cindric because I think he's finished top 10 the past 2 years in this race as well. So
Only a
quite a
few
couple
top tens he's
guys.
had.
Um, and what were there was only two multi-car teams that actually had all their cars in the show, right?
Yeah. Hendrick in 2311, which 2311 is a lot easier when you only got two cars. But Hendrick having all four
I mean,
is,
look at Colleague
That's
as a two-car
impressive.
team, and
and they got none, which our guy Josh Williams, oh, he almost had
yeah,
it.
close.
It was that
So
close. Which, like we said,
Here.
it's just a slight hiccup and you're out
yeah, I
with
mean,
how close the times were.
Amalee, what was that time difference between 22nd and Josh Williams in 23rd?
Uh,
So, but yeah, I mean that's a
no, momentarily.
but a couple other teams that lost out. Spire didn't get any cars in the show, right?
Well, Joy was in it.
Or Corey LaJoy was in the show, but Zane
Hmm.
Smith and Carson Hocevar, the rookies, did not make the show.
Josh Berry
Um,
didn't,
Josh Berry,
which surprisingly the other three Stewart Haas cars made it.
yeah. There's a lot of chatter from Tony Stewart recently too. He is
Hmm.
like
Not
he's
happy.
he's very unhappy right now. Let's see, couple non-notables or another notable. Eric Jones did not make it. Um, but a notable mention that did make it would be Justin Haley in the 51.
Hmm.
So
And he qualified 10th.
and those gold wheels look good.
Oh yeah, they did. Like it almost with the speed they were going, it almost looks like the wheels were turning like backwards or something. But the gold was
Oh yeah.
it looked just as good on track as it did in the picture.
I
Mhm.
didn't know if NASCAR would allow that,
Oh, they sure enough
in all
did.
honesty.
With this
Yeah.
next gen car, they've started allowing stuff they just didn't. Like they used to not allow the chrome numbers, now they're allowing that and all kinds of other stuff.
I did like the chrome numbers. The chrome numbers.
Yeah,
The
and you were
chrome
right about the gold
numbers
chrome.
look really good. Yes.
So,
I thought it looked chrome, so I was like, I'm gonna go with that.
yeah, definitely excited to see some changes in like the appearance and especially the wheels. Like cuz like we talked in Splash and Go, the color scheme with the wheels matching just seems to mesh like Penske with the reds and yellows. Like we need that back. We need it back. So I'm excited to hopefully NASCAR allows that into the season. I don't know if that may just been an exhibition race thing, but we shall see probably next week or
Mhm.
the 18th. So 2 weeks, week and a half from today. Actually, I'll get my days right sometime. Just bear with us. We're still rusty, you know. Second week jitters,
Someday,
shake it
someday.
out, shake it out.
Yeah, we'll be better.
So let's talk about our top 10 finishers. I'll go over them.
Okay.
So it was Hamlin, Busch, Blaney,
Mhm.
Logano, Larson, Bowman, Briscoe, Keselowski. I always
Mhm.
say his name weird. Truex Jr. and Byron.
Keselowski.
Ke- it's Keselowski.
Keselowski.
That's how everyone else says it.
Keselowski. Brad K. You can just say Brad K.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, just some guys that's kind of throw out at me a little bit would probably be only one really, and that'd be Chase Briscoe. With the year Stuart Haas had last year, and then coming in and putting up a top 10. I mean, I know it's kind of one of those things but still
I mean,
something
I'd
nice to
say
see.
Ryan Blaney finishing third after starting
Oh, that's
dead
the biggest winner.
last on the provisional.
Yeah, starting
That's a pretty big
23rd,
win right
coming up
there.
to third. I tell you what, those cautions at the end of the race helped him big time. Those like 3 or 4 cautions we had where he would start on I think he was taking the outside lane, start on the outside and gain like 3 spots. The flag would come out. You're scored. That's where you scored.
And switch to the inside and just flip flop back and forwards.
So unfortunately for us, Daniel, though, we have to throw in the towel for this week.
I mean, that
You
was
know that
pretty close.
this does not count towards our points, but a
Well,
win is a win. A win
we
is a
got
win.
breaking news. We lied. It does count.
It is in the
Are you
column.
serious?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in the column
it does
because
count.
it counts towards both the finishing and the points. So congratulations, Amalee, on your first ever
Thank you.
pick win. I didn't get mine for 10
It also
weeks,
means I get to
so
pick first for Daytona. I may or may not already have my pick,
oh yeah,
and it's not
and
going to be Bush.
you get to pick your way too early champion pick at the end of this show too.
I couldn't. I still got to think about that.
So, but
Well, you got
yeah,
time. Not
out of the
much,
picks,
but
I'm going to be
Amalee with
honest.
the
I
win.
thought Daniel had us for a very long time. I fell asleep and Daniel was winning. And then Alan woke me up at the end of the race and he was like, "You won." And I was like, "Huh? How
Oh,
did that happen?"
it's always the best, like because we love watching racing, of course. But Daniel and I had races last year where our picks were running side by side, and towards the end of the race, our picks were running 3 in a row, and it was just
Hmm.
shuffling back and forth, and it was who was going to get shuffled all the way to the outside and lose completely. And it looks like Daniel got that L on that one, buddy. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I will say Larson did very good until that point.
until the end, yeah.
So, well, I mean, the big thing there is like the interesting part was Blaney had a car that could pass on the outside. So I don't know if you saw that,
Yeah,
but
not many people. Yeah, not many people had that. I mean, he had I mean, Scuffs was clearly the wrong decision for qualifying. I think that would have made it look a lot different
Mm-hmm.
because you probably wouldn't have had a lot of the people like Ricky Stenhouse wouldn't have made it. Nemechek, Briscoe probably wouldn't have made it. But because I mean, it killed Bell's lap time, and he qualified all the way back in 33rd, and that's 11 out.
Yeah, that is
Mhm.
nothing like him, especially if you look at like his postseason last year.
Yeah, I was
So,
about to say in the playoffs last year, didn't he get like 3 or 4 poles in a row?
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, he
he's
was like a
probably a big
pole master.
advocate right now for
I probably shouldn't say
changing
it
the
like that.
clash rules to. He's probably a big advocate right now for changing the clash rules back to pole winners only.
I think like you and I talked about earlier this week, was pole winners and race winners.
hmm Yeah,
And
because
that's
pole
who runs
winners
your
could be a
clash.
pretty small field, but I mean, if you're doing it, I mean, if they go back to the LA Coliseum, just the pole winners, that'd be enough because they had
Yeah.
less cars on the track this year than they had the prior 2 years, and the quality of racing went up a lot more. I mean, it wasn't didn't the first 75 laps go by in like 18 minutes or something?
Yeah, it flew by because it was a full green flag run.
hmm Well, right there until the end.
Yeah. Let's see here. Trying to find the number of pole winners we had in 23. Um, uh, it does not have the number that I want, so we just aren't going to worry about that right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it'd be a good move if they're going to LA. Now, you go back down to like Daytona or something,
Yeah,
and
you're gonna want more cars than just a pole winners. You probably want race winners and a champion, past champions, in case a champion doesn't win a race this year or something.
yeah, just have race winners and just a good format to have more cars in there and make it something that's
But not
formidable
too
to shoot
many.
for. Yeah. You
hmm
don't want to run a 40
Because I
car
mean,
field.
yeah, because I mean that would make LA less of like a money loss for like a colleague team if they
Hmm.
know off the bat, like, all right, we're going back to LA, but it's only pole winners and or race winners as well. Well, we didn't win a pole or race last year. We don't have to waste that money to drive all the way to LA.
Right.
You know, I think that would make that a much more feasible race.
Yeah.
And you
Mhm.
don't even need to go out there and qualify or anything. Do like they used to do in the Bud Shootout days and grab a beer bottle and pull the flag out and see what number you draw.
I did like that.
Yeah, that would be just a good way to do it, a fun way to do it.
Showing
Uh,
my age a little bit right there.
yeah, it's like
I'm gonna be
oh
honest,
04
I may have
to oh
seen, like,
06.
videos here and there on Instagram, that's the only reason I know what you're talking about, but I
I'm
found
pretty
it
sure
cool.
she was watching one of those Saturday. So, because I
It was
remember seeing one.
bushes. He started 6th at the time, I think.
He wasn't old enough to pull the year before.
He
Couldn't
was
pull his own
not.
flag.
Mhm.
So, well, there's our top 10.
And then you have Hamlin with the "I beat your favorite driver again" quote.
Yes. I don't know how many people have checked out Actions Detrimental this week, but his dad is making him retire that phrase.
Why?
Daniel, did you
He
see
didn't
that?
like it. He thought it was, yeah, he didn't like it. He thought it was too cocky. He said, I don't like that, son. Don't do that anymore. So
You sound cocky.
he's not doing it. Yeah, and it is,
It
and I
is, but
like
he
it.
can back it
Oh, it
up.
was
Like, that's
solid,
the
Yeah,
dude.
thing.
I
I
love
like it
the
because he
at the
wasn't
end
he
because
wasn't gonna say it because
yeah,
he kind of like you saw like that
it was
shit-eating
like
grin on his
just
face, and he was like, you know what, y'all just now decided to start booing. All right, I got you. He's like, I beat
Mhm.
your favorite driver again because he's talking about making a new like hat or sweatshirt, their new
Mhm.
mantra for the season. And last year it's our year. And I was like, man, the perfect one for this year is just make shirts and hats to say I beat your favorite driver.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even like a huge Denny Hamlin guy, but I might have
You
bought that,
you can't argue the facts either. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been merch
Because
worn on the show.
Yeah, because
Speaking of
guess
that
what?
plug,
He
email
did.
us gadsdenright97@gmail.com for more details. But yeah,
No, I need some
and
new
at the
hats.
I know we need to get some hats ordered. But no, at the end where he was like, "I beat your favorite driver," and then it was like a pause, and then he was like, "Again," and I was like, "Yes, that was what I was waiting on." Like, I wanted him to say it so bad, and I was so excited when he did. I
Mhm.
was like, "Arr."
Yeah, because I mean, at first, like people were cheering for him, and I was like, huh, maybe this Netflix documentary,
It
flipped a
like
bunch
did
of
worked
flipped
wonders
a
for
bunch of
him.
people, and then there was like that small, you hear the small boos, and then other people were like, you know what? Go! And he's like, all right, I'll do it. I'll do it.
For you guys, this is
You
for you.
forced my hand.
Yeah.
So,
See, when it comes to cockiness like that, I respect it and I like it if you can back it up. If you're just cocky and you can't, okay, yeah, stop saying stuff like that. But if you're Denny Hamlin, then like, yeah, I beat your favorite driver again.
I mean,
Yeah. So like,
51 points wins in
yep.
the Cup Series. I
hmm
mean, that's
And I mean, other people can retort, my favorite driver won a championship, and he's like,
I was about to say.
you got me.
oh, it's like his fiance's post on Instagram back in like the winter
Yeah.
where it was like
Bring that up.
Yeah.
rings me 1, Denny 0.
It is so dirty.
That was hilarious.
Oh, it was dirty, but it was hilarious. So kudos to that. Which I mean, everybody says, and what we've seen, and from his mouth as well, is he's a shit talker. So kind of goes hand in hand.
If you admit it and you know who you are, go ahead. Go
Power
off.
to
Yeah.
you.
Own it. Yeah,
Yeah,
own it.
live it, love it, be it. So, but yeah, good for Hamlin. Um, he won a clash, but let's see if he can win a championship. So what else do we have? Let's talk a little bit more about the clash, and we'll finish up. So we were talking about this a minute ago. So the 5 hour window. Um,
Hmm.
well, I mean that was tight. That was tight, and even though it was a free event, um, did you guys see on social media where like people were bashing the crowds at the beginning of the race?
Yeah, like what do you expect? Do you think everybody that bought a ticket's gonna be like, oh, well, I'm already like everybody's not already in town. Like when I went to the Daytona race, like we first of all, I made a boo-boo and booked my hotel for Sunday, thinking it was a Sunday night race, and had to book my hotel for Saturday night. And we drove down Saturday morning. We left, got there midday Saturday, got to our rinky-dink motel that I could find, and it was bad. Like we slept on top of the sheets. It was that bad. And
Oh, that's
yeah,
rough.
the
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what we got there. And we opened the door, and cockroaches went.
Or
And I
you
was
just
like,
sleep in the truck.
yeah. And I was like, this is what a $40 motel last minute will get you. And my dad was like, next time we're gonna get one of those hotels next to the racetrack. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
those are
Amalee,
kind of
please don't book
expensive.
us anything like that for the Coke 600 this year.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
think
but I
that's a
mean,
good time.
yeah, a lot of people are super last minute, so they're not gonna be there the day before. I mean, I don't know. Everybody's different, but I
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, we're not let's say that like we have tickets to Atlanta. If they
hmm
changed it to Saturday, 5 hours before the race is supposed to start, I don't know if we would be able to swing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might not be there when it starts, but you might be
We
there
may
like
show up
after
in
the
the
first
middle of it.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I can't guarantee that we'll be there right when it starts. So
Yeah.
I feel like the low crowds was not for a
It
lack
was
of
expected, like I
Yeah.
didn't think there was gonna I mean,
mm-mm.
we weren't gonna
Even
fill
though
that
it is a free
Coliseum up
event.
anyways. That's a college football stadium. Like
Yeah,
USC could barely do it.
that's 100,000+ seat stadium. I mean, NASCAR averages a 30 to 40,000 person fan base. I mean, you probably on a summer weekend could not fill up a baseball stadium with the amount of people at a NASCAR race. And it's just the fact of what it is right now. I mean, the sport's growing, but it's not there.
You just
But
gave me an idea of where the Clash should be next year.
a baseball stadium.
Truist Park.
Truist Park. I almost said SunTrust. I
Hey,
forgot they changed the name.
2025 All-Star Game. I don't know how much tickets are, but I want to go.
Well, that's if they don't move it again.
That's
That
true.
is true.
Well, it's not an election year, so
yes, the
that's
year after.
controversial. We got to move on from there.
Yeah, moving on.
But yeah,
So,
the crowd. Oh,
mhm.
we still. Oh, well,
Nope, go ahead.
go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was trying to move on.
So,
She's
well,
going
moving
Like
way
on.
ahead.
from the controversial subject.
Oh, okay. Well, move on. I'll let you transition here.
Okay, well, even if we did have small crowds at the Coliseum, what were the viewership numbers like, Alan?
The viewership. So from here it is. Adam Stern. So it got moved from Fox, where it was supposed to be on Sunday. It was supposed to be on national network Fox, to cable FS1. It got 1.5 million viewers for Saturday night's Busch Light Clash. That's down from the first two editions, which were on Sunday on national television. And 2022 was 4.2 million, and 2023 was 3.6 million. So there's still a digression there either way from year to year. So I think the newness of the event wore off from 22 to 23, and that could also play a factor into 24 as well as the change. So I would say that's honestly pretty good ratings considering 5-hour
What
window
happened?
on cable, and that it's digressed the second year anyways. And with the
that
short
was the
track
best.
package
That was
last
the
year,
best race out of the three of them.
I mean that's just like Bristol Dirt though too. The last race is the best. But I think with that, it just kind of, you look at the short track races from last year, you look at the Martinsvilles and everything, the short track package sucks or sucked. We'll see what happens this year with the new
It wasn't
Arrow.
terrible for the Clash.
No, I
Because
mean,
that's
it
what
played
me and
well.
you. Yeah, me and you kind of talked. It's like, I'm almost willing to give that another chance.
Yeah.
Just because of how the product ended up playing out last year. I think with the format changes, like not making everybody drag their crap out there,
Mm-hmm.
just make it pole winners, race winners, and past champions, and let that be it. Don't make Spire drag all three of their cars out there. Don't
For
make
them
Rick
not to
Ware,
qualify.
drag their two cars out there. Just if you want to pole or race, or if you've been a champion, then take your stuff out there. But other than that,
Yeah.
save your money. Like NASCAR's been big about cutting your costs. That's a huge cost saver for a lot of teams. If you didn't qualify well or win races, you don't get to show up. Make it. I think Dale Jr. said it. Give it some prestige back.
Yeah.
Do you think that it would be a good race if it was only people who qualified or past champions? If it
Yeah.
became a choice,
Yeah.
do you feel like
Yeah, I
it would
think
still
at
be a
the
good
Clash,
race?
because that would be less drivers on that track, the better.
Yeah. You're
I will say,
talking like,
I have
Because
never.
you'd probably only get like 15, 16, maybe.
That is true.
yeah.
Because
I
most of the
will
time,
say,
there's not people that won the pole and
Mhm.
didn't win the race. I mean, there's a couple people that won poles and didn't win races. Like, I guess Bubba Wallace won Texas pole and didn't win the race or win a race. But I mean, he still won the pole, so he'd still be in the show.
Yeah.
I will say I've never watched the Clash before this year, and I've never actually seen the track. I saw a picture of it and sent it to Alan, and I was like, "Is this seriously the track? Like that? It looks tiny. It
Quarter mile
literally
bull
doesn't even look
ring.
like you could go
Mm-hmm.
even 2 wide on it, much less 3."
Yeah, I say
No, there's no 3. Well, there was 3 wide, but
I was about to say there was 3 wide.
the
They made it
third
that
work.
guy
was
got screwed.
not by choice.
Yeah, that was
They
unintentional.
made it work, but
You saw how the argument ensued after the 3 wide incident between just one notable
Yeah,
one
I wouldn't
between
even.
Ty Gibbs
I,
pushed Logano up the track.
yeah, I wouldn't even go as far to say they made it work. It happened,
Yeah, no, it
but
did not
I
work.
don't think they made it work.
it was there. It was present, but not wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I literally was like, how is pit row gonna be a thing?
It's
How are
not.
they gonna pit?
They don't.
And Alan had to literally lay it out and be like, "This is where everything is," because it was like, "There's
Mhm.
no way they can fit anything in the center
Yeah, she was
right
like,
Yeah,
there."
where are their
they're
like
in the
teams
parking
and the
lots.
cars?" And I'm like, "They're on the road." She was like, "Do what?" I'm like, "They
I was like,
are
"They go
on the road."
outside of
Yeah.
Coliseum?"
So,
Mhm.
but speaking real quick about outside the Coliseum, I know it's a little off of our notes, but Ty Gibbs and Joey Logano rehashing some beef going into Daytona. So I listened to a little bit of Joey Logano on his show on SiriusXM today, and he was talking about him and Ty Gibbs had some stuff, a couple scuffles late last year, and then that Martinsville hit where everybody thought that he was trying to take out Denny Hamlin with Ty Gibbs was actually a retaliation for some stuff that happened a couple weeks prior. So
I think it was at
or
Kansas or Vegas or something,
yeah, but Joey
or
said that
both.
he thought that we had a good conversation. I thought that we were going to race each other respectfully, but I guess that's not the case anymore. And obviously, Joey's been known for self-policing. So, do you think that that may come back to bite Ty Gibbs?
Probably. I mean, Joey Logano's mad at Ty Gibbs for being a young Joey Logano.
Right?
It is funny to watch these drivers like grow up and basically face their younger selves years later.
hmm
It is. So, I will
But I
say
mean,
kudos to Ty for standing his
but
ground.
yeah, I mean, Denny kind of broke it down analytically about the tires being cold and all the factors that actually laid into it. But he still kind of, in my opinion, he didn't call it quite down the middle. He leaned a little bit in Ty's favor, but still said it was Ty's fault.
Yeah.
Like he made it seem a little less like his fault than it was, but he still admitted that was Ty's fault.
Yeah.
I cannot remember who it was for the life of me right now, but who was it? It was Stenhouse that got out of his car
Yeah, Ricky
and
Stenhouse pulled
Mhm.
Nemechek's window net down and went and grabbed his helmet and started shaking it around. And then he got
Mhm.
into it with McDowell. I think it was Ricky Stenhouse versus the back of the field. I think he was mad at
What did
everybody.
he end up finishing? Now that I think about it,
Stenhouse, he finished 16th.
16th.
Jinx, one of you
So
owes each
McDowell
other a
was
soda.
behind him, but Nemechek finished 13th. So, and we'll
Yeah.
be honest, I didn't think we'd see as many drivers get mad over an exhibition race.
Oh,
I'm here for it.
those those tempers start flaring as soon as you start getting pushed around, and
hmm
that's what I really enjoyed about this year's Clash is you really got to see like there wasn't as much of that plowing from 25th to 13th that we saw the last 2 years, but we were seeing a lot of pushing and shoving. That basically it's like continuously pushing on a guy until you just piss him off enough to do something. Like it's poking the bear, just keep poking. So, but it was, I
And there
mean,
was at the end of the race there was Chastain and Reddick,
yeah,
and
which it
then
was,
Larson and Bubba Wallace, because that's what Bubba Wallace was roughing Larson up, and on the last lap he just sent him. That's why Bubba Wallace finished 12th, because Bubba Wallace went from the front to the back to the front to the back to the front again, and then ended up 12th because he got dumped on the last lap, and so did Reddick.
so yeah, a lot
Do
of
y'all feel like Wallace may actually have a chance at a championship? Not maybe not this year, but like in years coming up.
Eventually, yeah. I mean, he's inching closer and closer and closer towards it. Like
yeah,
I mean, you even saw it at the end of last year. Like road courses, he'll say to himself, are not a strong suit, and the more road course races they ran, the
The
better he
better he
better
got.
he
got.
got. I mean,
Yeah.
he about got
Mhm.
himself out of a hole. there. I'll say, I mean, people would, if you look at it statistically without breaking anything down, you would say that 2023 was a digression from 2022 because he won a race in 2022. But 2023, I think, was a big step forward because they made the round of
Well,
16
I mean,
on
if you
points
look at
and then pointed into the round of
and
12
12.
and almost
Yeah, and I
put,
mean,
I
if you
think they
look
were
at his
only
top 10s
40
and
off.
top 5s and laps led versus the year before, I mean, if you take away the win column, last year was better than all his previous years because he was leading more laps. I think in the Texas race, he led more laps than he led the entire season before.
Yeah.
So, I
And
mean, he's taken those steps forward to where it's not an anomaly, and to see him competitively competing for a win or top 5s or top
I
10s.
think a part of that has to be the competitive ride too. I mean, you were
Mhm.
talking about going from
2311?
going from Richard
Oh,
Petty
yeah.
Motorsports to 2311, and
It was a
2311 is still a
huge
new
jump.
team. I mean,
It's
I
only
see,
year 4 now?
yeah, I see that being a championship team by probably 2026 with either Reddick or
Yeah.
I see either car
Or
in
a
the
new
round of
driver.
4. Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
in the Netflix documentary, he did have what, 4 garage
Yeah, he's got
doors?
4 bay doors on that new shop.
Yeah, I mean, he's
So it's
just
set up.
I mean, everybody's just kinda holding steady besides Spire trying to see, what the charter situation is gonna be after the end of this year, and then I think you'll see a lot more moves after that of people trying to
I
obtain
mean,
more or buy
Yeah.
more that become available.
looking at Bubba's stats, his best finish was last year in the Cup Series.
His overall.
What
What
His
was
best
it?
overall finish was 10th place last year.
Yeah, that's really good actually.
That's
Oh, I'm not saying that's
championship
bad. I'm saying
caliber.
that that's extremely promising. He has 2 wins, which I think y'all mentioned, but he has 31 top 10s
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think
with
the
with
majority of
only
those
2
came
poles
last
as
year.
well. I think
Yep,
that
and I
shows a
think both of
lot.
those were last year as well.
Yeah, I mean, getting the
I
pole at
think the 2
Texas.
poles versus the 31 top 10 finishes shows a lot from the type
Mhm.
of the type of racer he is.
Well, and I think Tyler Reddick coming in and Kurt Busch still being there as a mentor is helping him improve as a driver. Reddick being there is obviously helped him get
Yeah.
some information to help him better at road course racing. He's
Mhm.
already really good at speedway racing, super speedway racing.
Mhm.
And then he's getting a lot better at the mile and a half. That's where you see him. I mean, I feel like at some mile and a half, he's got a better chance to win than at a super speedway.
Yeah, he's got
Let's see. What
they bring
Reddick's?
fast cars. And I
Mhm.
will say I think that the mile and a halves are going to be the strong suit because the Toyotas are fast. Toyota as a whole manufacturer is fast on mile and a halves. Or
Well,
at
they were
least
last
last
year. We'll
year.
have to see
We'll
how
see
this
what the
nose
new body
done. And
does.
I mean, the Toyotas and the Fords, you could tell even at that short track. I mean, that's a small sample size, and unlike anything they're going to race all year. But I mean, they were fast.
Yeah, I mean, they're still
So, a
proof of the
little
The
pudding.
Fords, especially,
I have a
a
random
lot
thing.
better.
I decided to look up Tyler Reddick's record just to compare to Bubba's because, they're teammates. He may be a better contender for a championship this year. His best finish in the Cup Series was 6th last year as well, but he has 5 wins, 57 top 10s, and 6 poles.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he may
Reddick's going to
be.
be a champion. No, I see it. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Reddick will be a
I
champion for
mean, he
sure.
technically won Phoenix last year. That's what it says, 2023 NASCAR Cup Series Championship race. Phoenix.
no,
Was
that
his
was Ross
last
Chastain.
Oh, last race, sorry. My fault. His last win was the Hollywood Casino. I was completely wrong. I was reading one spot under what it said.
I was like,
Sorry.
I
I
don't
was
remember that
trying to get my
happening.
bearings on that one.
I
But
know both of y'all's faces. I was like, I'm wrong, and then I had to relook at it.
but yeah, no, Reddick's gonna take 2311 probably to their first championship. I would say.
Well, I mean, we say that, but with the exponential improvement that Bubba's had over the
I
past
think they're
3
both
years.
pretty good contenders.
The
Mhm.
only thing that I
within
would
the next year or two.
the reason I'd reason Reddick right now is just because there's 2 road courses in each round, or there's 2 road courses in the playoffs this year.
That
So
is
that
true.
kind of plays to Reddick's strengths, but there's also 2 super speedways. So I mean, it's a toss up.
Yeah, I mean the way it's balancing out. I mean, I think the round of 8 races play more into Reddick's hand versus Bubba's, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're not getting almost all the same information, you know.
Yeah,
So
almost
I
down to
mean,
a T.
all right, does 2311 get a championship before Denny Hamlin?
No,
Yeah. Just
I
throw
don't
a
think
little
so.
spice on that. Yes.
I
I'll
mean,
tell
how
you
many
why a
years
little
does
later
Hamlin
in
have
this
left to do
episode.
it?
I'll tell you a little. I'll tell you why a little bit later in this episode, but no, I don't
I
Is
think
that
so.
just
your
feel
way too
like,
early championship pick?
That is,
Is Denny Hamlin?
and I have really solid reasoning, so y'all just have to hear me out, okay?
well, we'll touch on one more thing and then we'll talk about our way too early championship picks. Dale Jr. no longer has a contract with NBC.
Well, he doesn't have one yet for next year. Which did you listen to his
No, that's for this
podcast
His
year.
with?
That's for
exact
this year.
words were,
He doesn't
yeah,
have a
his
2024.
exact words, according to the Tennessean, his exact words are, as of right now, I really don't have a job in terms of broadcasting. NBC has not renewed him.
You know, I was listening to his podcast with Marty Smith. Did you listen to that yet?
I have not.
Mm-mm.
He was kind of picking his brain about working for TNT.
Really?
Hmm.
But he did say that NBC, he would like to work with them primarily.
Yeah, I mean, they'd be idiots to not re-sign him. You know.
Yeah.
But why
Yeah.
haven't they? For this year, I mean, we're talking a week and a half.
Well, they got time. They got 16 races before they got to worry about that or more. When does theirs start now?
What is it? 36 races in the
I forget.
season, 18 races, race 19. So after Pocono?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess technically, but I feel like they should have their ducks in a row well in advance. Or maybe it's just what I thought they did.
I would.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like I said, it'd be
Nashville. Sorry. They go Nashville June 30th. Don't mean to interrupt, but
No,
June
you're good.
30th is when they start broadcasting.
yeah. I mean, they'd be dumb to not to.
Yeah, it is
I don't
crazy
see how they
though. I
can.
mean, our first silly season rumor about Dale Jr. Does he go to TNT? Does he stay with NBC? Does he
He
go to
stays with
Fox?
NBC.
I'm just kidding. Fox
I'm
is
just
locked
gonna go
up.
ahead and call it.
Yeah, Fox is full unless. But I mean, Dale Jr. can replace Mike Joy because he's not a play-by-play guy. You know, he's just an analyst.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree. I think he gets
I
renewed, but it
will
would be interesting to
say
see him picked up.
it was very nice to see Kevin Harvick
Oh,
commentating this past weekend.
dude, the mesh that we didn't get last year out of Fox was phenomenal. I'm excited to actually watch the Fox broadcast this year because Mike Joy's great.
Yeah, because
Clint
you got
Boyer is
consistency in the booth.
yeah, and I mean we talked about this last year. So Clint Boyer is like your puff guy that really like wow,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mike Joy's your steady voice broadcasting play by play with these weird facts from 1964, and then having Kevin
He's your
Harvick there.
NASCAR encyclopedia.
Yeah. But Kevin Harvick bringing that in, and I mean, it probably helped that Kevin
He's
and
the
Clint.
freshest driver out of the. I think he's the only broadcaster to drive the next gen car. Yeah, he is
full time.
So he's got the freshest opinion on it and the most knowledge about it to be able to analytically break down
What the
what
I
cars
the
really
are.
did
drivers are
enjoy
feeling.
just hearing him commentate on everything.
Yeah,
I
he
Which I
almost
saw
think,
that I saw
oh,
that Fox is doing a documentary on him, which kind of makes more sense about why he wasn't more prevalent in the Netflix documentaries because he's probably conflict of interest because he's doing
Hmm.
Fox was doing a docu-series on him. I guess that's supposed to be released the day before the Daytona 500 or something.
Yes.
Sorry, February 15th. So
Mhm.
it'll be
Oh,
on
after?
after the duels. The duels will air at like
Mhm.
6 to 9 or something, and then that comes on I think at 9 or 10 on Fox. And it's called I Am Kevin Harvick. But that'll be after the duels on the 15th.
I will say, hearing him commentate, I was like, I feel like he misses racing already, just based on how he was talking.
Yeah, I mean, he was
Mhm.
glad to not be part of it because
He
I
was glad to not be part of it, but I feel like there was undertones where he
still wanted to be part of it. Like when it got down
Mhm.
to like the nitty gritty, because that's what they showed clips of him the year prior giving everybody payback. And Clint was like, "What were you thinking here?" And he's like, "I was thinking I didn't have to race him next year."
Yeah, I know they talked about Clint was like, I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm really going to ask you it next week or at Daytona. Is like, how do you feel about watching the car go around? And I mean, he was like, yeah, I'm kind of okay with not being down there bumping and banging and leaving pissed off. Because he did say that. He's like, I'm glad that I'm leaving here and nobody's mad at me. So, but no, it was a very good. I love his analytical side, and even prior to Fox with his Xfinity Series broadcast that he's done with like Joey Logano and Brad Kay, um, which Joey Logano's a natural as well, I will
And
say,
Blaney,
and Blaney, being one of those guys that they've mixed in there in the Xfinity Series broadcast. But
that's
I
actually one of
enjoyed
my
him in
favorite
those.
parts about Fox having the Xfinity, and I'm kind of bummed that they won't have it next year, and the CW will, because I do enjoy the driver, them bringing the drivers in and commentating the race.
Right. So, but yeah, no, Kevin Harvick, solid addition. Very solid addition. Great pickup by Fox.
Such a refreshing, gosh, can't talk, addition. Jesus.
Yeah, it's good that him and Boyer already have chemistry from being teammates and stuff. I think that'll help
Hmm.
the flow of the commentating go better because,
Well, you already
like, I
saw it.
mean, we've talked about it before. There was no stability in the booth at Fox, and that was the biggest knock. Is it's hard to get rhythm when it's different people in the booth every week.
I mean, look at our show from last week to this week, just us, the three of us.
Hmm.
And now the chemistry has changed up already. So it is pretty important on that end. So to have that consistency.
So, to wrap up our episode, now I'm going to let Alan go first because he already has his reasoning laid out.
Thank you.
Early season champion picks.
All right. So my Cup Series champion this year, my pick is Denny Hamlin.
No
And
way.
multiple reasons here. So first off, they're hungry. They're always hungry. But they're hungry. They see it. They're right there at it. Um, The second reason is his road course abilities have improved tremendously, and I think that's going to play in his favor throughout the year. The third reason, I don't think that he's going to care of who he has to go through to get that trophy, and he's going to do what he has to do to get that trophy.
But would he wreck his own teammate and or the cars he owns?
In the
Yes,
words of Tony Stewart, I'd wreck my mom to win a championship.
wreck your mom.
I'd
I'd
wreck
wreck
your
your
mom. It
mom.
was not my mom. Your mom. Is
Thought it was both, but I'd wreck
It
your
was
mom.
both. He said, I'd
it
wreck my
both?
grand."
I always
He
heard your
said, "No."
mom.
He said, "I'd wreck my grandmother to win a championship." And then he looked at Carl Edwards and he said, "I'd wreck your grandmother to win a championship."
So we were all wrong. It's not mom at all.
Close enough. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I see that team being hungry and driven and focused, and also like the perfect cap to having a Netflix series that kind of centers around you a little bit, win the championship next year. Why not? So, but there's my 2024 way too early champion pick. Now, because I accidentally exposed mine, Amalee, because you were the winner, uh, go
Oh,
ahead.
you're good. I was gonna let you go first. Um, so my way too early, but because we were just talking about him, I think Tyler Reddick has a chance. And I would really like to see 23XI win their first championship this year.
That is a really good pick,
That's my
honestly.
reasoning.
What
I
did
was
he do?
gonna
Round of
say,
8
based on
last
his
year, or
stats,
did he get knocked in the round of 12?
He's round 8.
He was round of 8.
yeah,
I
he
could
finished
see it.
6th.
So, a little cleanup on the short tracks, and he'll be all right.
There you
Other
go.
than I think that's him blowing up in the background. But we're not going to talk about that.
I left my loyalty.
All right. Well, Daniel, to round out the show,
I'm gonna hop off the Toyota train for my way
Oh.
too early championship pick.
Who you got?
ooh, he's got 2
He's
right
not.
now.
He's not
There's-
picking who I think he was about
There's
to pick.
2. I can see it on his
I
face.
think I already know one of them.
Take a guess.
I feel like you were gonna say Larson. I feel like you're a very big Larson guy.
I mean, Kyle Larson is the best race car driver in the world right now,
That's
and
true.
that's objectively. Um,
I think that William Byron's one of them.
that's correct. Can you guess my other one?
Oh, let's see.
It's not Larson.
Probably Chase Elliott.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it'd be Chastain.
He was my third. Chastain was my third option.
Chastain wasn't on my list. He's on my round of 12 getting kicked out most likely list. Give me a manufacturer. Chevy or Ford?
Ford.
Oh, Brad K. Chris Buescher. Brian Blaney again? Back to back?
Yeah. I don't know.
You think he could pull off back to back?
Jimmy Johnson won 5 in a row.
Yeah, but that's Jimmy
But
Johnson.
that's Jimmy Johnson.
Like,
Yeah, and I'm not
no
calling Ryan
discredit
Blaney
to
Jimmy
Ryan
Johnson.
Blaney, but like,
Let's say.
Hey, I didn't knock your way too early championship picks. All right.
I know we kind of just jumped on his.
You did mentally. Like, I know you did. But I'm not jumping
Oh
on
yeah,
yours.
I was
like
judging
Blaney.
you in my mind.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
He kept his thoughts in here.
We just let our thoughts
I just feel
flow.
like Ryan Blaney jumped over the hurdle that no one really thought he was going to jump over.
Dude,
That we-
talk about
I mean,
a
we always
freaking way to
just
shut up freaking
Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty. Like, oh, he's just another Trevor Bayne who goes out and wins a championship the same year. Like, screw
He called
you,
him
dude.
another Casey Kane.
Or Casey
Yeah.
Kane.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. A
So
one-hit wonder.
that's my caveat with Blaney is like he jumped over the hurdle no one thought he was going to jump over. Everyone thought he was just going to be a round of 8 guy his whole life or his whole career.
And now he's in an elite class.
But I mean,
if you had to pick one of those two, who would it be?
I'm still deciding. I'm going to work out my thought process with you guys right here live on air.
All right. Let's go.
Well, while
so
you
with
do that,
William
I'm gonna
Byron,
fill in our picks.
With William Byron, it was his championship to lose, and he lost it. They just at Martinsville.
He
I
qualified
knew
on the
after
pole,
Martinsville
too,
he wasn't
right? At
I think
Phoenix,
so,
he
but
qualified on the pole. He took the pole.
But the momentum shift that they lost after Martinsville, I knew he wasn't going to win it. I knew it had to be either Blaney or Larson.
I had Larson, honestly, last year, but I wanted Blaney to win.
Yeah.
And then when Blaney's car just turned on, it was like, that's it.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard to repeat unless your name's Jimmy Johnson. So I guess I'll go with Byron because he was so close, and that's got to fuel him this year. And he's really coming into his own and starting to step out of the shadow of being the guy that took Jeff Gordon's ride and making a name for himself in the 24.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with William Byron.
All right. So Hamlin, Reddick, and Byron. For
Amalee.
I was reading her name off the sheet, trying to read the names off. But we have our picks in for our way too early champion. Next week, we discuss Daytona 500, and we are going to not have a splash and go episode, but I think that we're going to record later in the week for a podcast after the duels. Make our picks a little better. So everybody be sure to tune in here, and we will talk to you next week, guys.